Yo, what's good everybody? My name is Jay Fatty. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about how to get your melodic elements to sit correctly with each other. When to EQ certain things, when to not EQ certain things, when to mess with the panning or the stereo separation. So let's get right into it. So I have this beat here that I made pretty much using just the Kepler, the new VST inside FL Studio. I have these drums that I use from Contact. So I've got these drums here that I'm using from Contact, but everything else is from this Kepler VST, okay? And all of these names are the preset that I'm using for that sound. So if you're trying to get any of these sounds. So I'm just gonna play you a little bit of this beat here. We got a bunch of different elements, so it kind of evolves throughout. So I'll just play you the main parts. So all I've really done is put this bass in mono, the drums in mono a little bit, and I threw on an EQ and a love filter on this Heartful because it's got a lot of high end in it. If we listen without these effects, you can really hear it. So that was pretty unbearable to work with. So I had to throw an EQ on here. All I did was put this EQ on, put this linear phase mode on, and curved some of those highs out and took more of a curve on those lows, really just to get that really high, those really high frequencies to not be as piercing, okay? So that's the first step I did. Now really what we have to do now is get everything to sit right. So I'm gonna go to a part of my beat that has multiple elements. So this you see has the Heartful going, the brass, the deep sequence, the electromania, and the bass and the drums. So we're really going to try to get everything right. So if I just listen here. If we just solo out the melodies. You hear this brass is clashing with this Heartful. So if we bring the EQ up on this Heartful, put it over here, click the drop down arrow and do detach. That way it stays up. It doesn't close when I open something else. Now if I go to the brass and throw an EQ on, we can do the same exact thing here and make this detached. So we have both of our EQs here and we can really see how these frequencies are being manipulated. So this brass, I already hear and can visually see that there's some too many low frequencies there. When you're visually looking at an EQ, don't just get stuck on the visual aspects of it. Make sure you're still listening. Just because you see some peaks in the frequency that you think is peaking too much, don't just, remove frequencies just because you visually see it. Only be removing stuff or adding frequencies so you can actually hear a difference. You don't just want to be visually doing something. You want to actually still be using your ears. So I just brought this low in like this, and I'm going to use this second band and create more of a shelf. So I'm going to go up here to the top of this EQ. Right here on this second band, I'm going to use the middle mouse button to drag the black dot to these 4 clear dots like that. And then I can use the middle mouse button to drag this top part and make it a wall like so. And then you can use middle mouse button on the band to change the steepness of it. All right, see, that's already sounding better. So now on this actual brass, what I can do is I can pan it a little bit. Let's try panning it to the right and see if that helps. So that really gave room for both of them. I panned that brass to the right a little bit and then the heartful to the left a little bit, and it made it so they weren't clashing as much in the middle. And now we can focus on doing some stereo separation. So this heartfelt, it seems like it wants to be in the stereo already if we really listen. That already sounds like a stereo sound. So let's just bring it into the stereo field a little bit more like so. And then this brass, I'll just bring in a little bit. So this next sound is like a high bell sound with some really higher frequencies, and it kind of sits in the back of the mix. All right, so that's already nice. To really get it to get in that back more, I'm just going to bring it down a little bit, and we can keep it in the middle. We don't need to pan this one. I like how it's in the middle, and the brass is to the right, that heartful's to the left. Everything sounds cohesive like that. Let's just try and messing with the stereo separation a little bit, not too much. So you hear that next sound, it's got those higher plucks, but then it has some lower frequencies in it. We hear it in the context of the mix. We don't really need those lower frequencies on that, so I'll throw in another EQ and just chop those up. So I just put that to the left a little bit and gave it some stereo separation. Now you can really hear how these elements are fitting together. Now the bass you heard the whole time, I kept that going just so I know where that bass is going to sit. We don't want any of these melodies to have clashing low frequencies with this bass where it sounds bad. So I'll just throw on an EQ and just clean up this bass a little bit. Now there's one more melody that we got to get right, and that's this lead over here. I actually think I want this lead to kind of pan left from right. So I'm going to highlight this area where the lead's at, like so, and I'm going to throw in an empty pattern. Now I'll go up here, make sure notes and automation is on when I right click the recording button. Now I'll just left click to arm it, and I'm just going to mess with the panning of this, and it should record that automation into that pattern. All right, so now that panning is automated, I'm going to copy this pattern over to where I have that lead over here. And we also need to really mess with the EQ on this lead because it's very piercing. So that's the other thing that I want to do on that lead. It sounds a bit dry too. I'm going to throw on a Lux Verb, and let's see. We'll just throw on a medium room preset. So let's hear this. Well, the next thing is getting these drums right. I already did throw an RC20 on them. That's pretty much all it is these drums already sound good because they're part of this contact drum library. Some really good sounding drums. And then I just threw on an RC20 to get those drums popping. Now we're going to mess with these effects that I threw on here, like these riser effects and stuff like that. Stuff like little ear candy, and we're going to make them sound right with everything because even these effects you want to, maybe stereo separate a little bit, stuff like that. So let's hear it. So now that we kind of got everything EQ'd up right, sitting in the spectrum right, we did a rough mix on it, but I'm going to bring all of my elements down to 0 and just do a quick mix and get everything right. So let's get right into it. All right, so I got a nice little mix here. I'm going to route all of my melodic elements to a synth bus, okay? And then on that synth bus, I'll route it to a sidechain track. And then my drums, I'm going to sidechain to the sidechain bus. We'll just get a quick sidechain going, get those drums and the melodies right. So all I'm doing is going to the compression tab, right click on the sidechain, make it sure it's the drum bus. I bring the knee and the ratio to the right, and I mess with this threshold and release. All right, so now that we got that, I'm going to just throw on some mastering plugins and get this sounding loud. So first things first is this UADX LA2A tube compressor. If you watched my other videos, you know I love this compressor. I'm going to link all of these effects that I use in the description and first pinned comment, so you can check those out. So on that Heartful, I threw another EQ right after the Love filter. I did this because instead of just messing with the first EQ, the Love filter could have introduced some other frequencies or brought up the level in some other frequencies. So having the EQ after it and then messing with it is just it just lets me touch up that element and get it sounding more clear. Now we're just going to add an Ozone 9 Elements and top this off with a nice little cherry on top. Let's go ahead and analyze this audio. Well, that's pretty much it. Hopefully this video gave you some tips on getting the frequency spectrum right, EQing up your melodic elements, and getting everything to sit right together. If this video did bring you value, please leave a like, hit subscribe, and hit the little bell. I'm going to play you this whole beat, but let me know what else you want to learn down in the comments if there's anything specific in FL Studio you'd like to learn about. If you need any beats, melodies, or any one-on-one sessions in FL Studio, you can hit me up, or you can click the link in the first pinned comment or in the description. But yeah, that's pretty much it, y'all. Make sure you stay safe, stay striving, and always be getting it. Much love, y'all. Peace.